Hello everyone, welcome back to another epic episode of On Air with Priyanka. Today, I am honored to welcome my guest to this show. You know what? They are having a 30 plus of years of experience in operational and leadership roles in a corporate. Yes, they are the author of Global Productivity Mindset book as well. So if you want to inspire your team looking for growth and opportunity, then this podcast is for you. So enjoy this podcast and please welcome Mr. Prashant Tipnis and Mr. Siddha on air with Priyanka. So, welcome to this show, Mr. Prashant and Mr. Siddha.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
how are
Yeah,
you guys first?
absolutely great.
And
Yeah,
how are
looking
you?
forward to
Fantastic.
this. Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
I'm also good. And you know what? As you can see, I'm very excited to know about this book and your powerful ideas. But before we start this episode, could you please introduce yourself for me and for my viewers?
Yes, of course. Well, Priyanka, I call myself a career nomad.
Mm-hmm.
Just because this is the fourth continent that I have been. Yeah,
Yeah.
starting from India, then Middle East, East Africa, Europe, and now finally to North America, wonderful North America.
Wow.
Settled down in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
The journey started actually, I would say, from India. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
moved into different places and a good progressive experience from starting from technical background,
Mm-hmm.
getting into the management leadership roles, yeah,
Wow.
various management. It was an excellent journey, I would say, yeah.
Yeah,
And after
definitely.
working about 30 years plus into the corporate world,
Mm-hmm.
then the thought came as to, okay, do have so much experience, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So why keep it with ourselves, right?
Right.
Have to give something back to the community.
Yeah.
Yeah? And that's where then I converse, more or less moved into consulting, training, teaching. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we are now. I mean, I do teach at a couple of universities here,
Mm-hmm.
as well as I'm a visiting faculty in some international universities around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And of course, helping the small to medium businesses, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
into achieving their goals and getting better.
Wow, that's great. Now I can say yes. Oh my God, I'm in front of a great personality. So, what about you, Siddha?
Yeah, okay. See, the interesting thing is when Prashant and I met, it was in Winnipeg,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they say Winnipeg is a meeting place. It's
Mm-hmm.
been like that for thousands of years of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And Prashant has a science background, but
Mm-hmm.
I have a law background, right? But the thing is, the question we asked ourselves is how come we connected? Because we shared a common language when it came to talking business and
Yes.
productivity, especially.
Yes.
Right? And then we realized that both of us had vast experience at multinationals. So
Mm.
I worked at a lot of manufacturing companies out in Asia, especially Southeast Asia, exporting to North America, to
Mm-hmm.
Europe, and to Japan. Right? And the interesting thing was that they all have a mindset that
Mm-hmm.
allows them to be able to operate in any country in the world.
Yep. Yep.
Right? You,
Right.
you take any of the global brands,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll find that they can be as productive in any country, whether it's Asia, North
Mm-hmm.
America, Europe. It's the mindset,
Yes,
right?
absolutely,
Yeah.
Siddha.
So I started as a lawyer drafting contracts,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I realized that really what makes that contract work
Mm-hmm.
is the mindset,
Yes.
right? And so it's human relationships at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day that help businesses to connect and be productive. Right.
Absolutely.
So my tagline these days, I'm a consultant here. I do teach at a university,
Mm-hmm.
especially in areas of negotiations
Mm-hmm.
on how to create high performance relationships.
Wow.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
behind a contract, you don't negotiate a contract really. You
Mm-hmm.
negotiate to establish a relationship. Like you and I, even before off camera, we were chatting, right?
Yes.
Because we wanted to get a rapport and get a sense of each other.
Yep.
And that's what this book is about.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and shifting from law practice to consulting,
Mm-hmm.
my tagline these days is this: get it right in the boardroom, stay out of the courtroom.
Wow. Wow.
Right?
Amazing.
Yeah. So if you're a business person, you'll realize
Mm-hmm.
you are in control when you're in the boardroom. In
Absolutely.
the courtroom, it's the judge.
Absolutely.
Right?
So great, as I can say in the beginning of this podcast. So I'm in front of two both great personalities. So let's start with a podcast. So, what is the backend story of this book, A Global Productivity Mindset? Like, and especially after the 2008 financial crisis.
That's right. As Siddha actually mentioned that we met in Winnipeg and we came coming from totally different backgrounds. Yeah?
Yes.
We actually met at one of the networking sessions. You have 25, 30 people meeting there. But when we started discussing, we found that although we are coming from totally different streams,
Yeah.
educationally as well as work-wise, there's a lot of commonality with us in our thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we call mindset basically. Our
Yes.
concepts were very clear. We looked at productivity and sustainable productivity as the driving force.
Yeah, right.
And this was just after the financial crisis, 2008.
Yeah.
We started discussing about our own experiences. We started sharing our own experiences as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where we found that, yeah, I mean, okay, there's so much that we can actually share, we can put together. We initially actually started off an idea of writing the blog.
Wow.
We started writing the blogs, we started putting everything, and then we said, okay, there is enough material.
Yes.
Yes, why don't we think about writing a book? It would have a wider reach.
Yes.
It would definitely be useful for businesses, which we want to. We had our shared experiences which were there. And one of the very common thing that came from science and law is the natural curiosity.
Yes.
Yeah?
Exactly.
Right? Coming from a chemist background, I had
Absolutely.
that curiosity as to why. So we kept on analyzing, why is this business doing so good? Why is this other business not really performing to its potential?
Especially in the crisis.
In the crisis.
Yes.
Yeah, they have been doing good all along. And that's what we started looking at. Why? Okay, let's analyze.
Yep.
And it came out that when we started looking back there, okay, there are certain factors, yeah, which we can sort of put down and make it sort of look, yes, I mean, these are the concepts
Yeah.
which make certain businesses go perform very good.
Yeah.
And there are certain which are still struggling after the crisis, especially.
Yes. Exactly.
And what happened was he had visited Malaysia, just that's his home country,
Yes.
just recently, and he shared one of the supermarket experiences.
Yeah.
I think you should share that.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what's interesting? Right from 2008, like Prashant used the word curiosity. Right. So we walk into a business and we are curious, and we ask questions like, why are they doing this?
Exactly.
Right. So like 2008, we saw this thing that in the supermarkets, because cost was a factor for people in 2008,
Yes.
the store brands started to pick up.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You know, and the store brands were saying, look, it's just as good as, you know, the brand that you are familiar with, right?
Yes.
And they gave you a price comparison, you know, and the lesson we learned from talking about curiosity and analysis is that the middle class consumer that walks into a supermarket, their focus really is on quality, affordable quality.
Exactly.
Right. So the moment where we find that, you know, an alternative name is as good as the other name, we might go for it, especially in an economic downturn. You say, okay, save a little bit of money, right? But we still want that quality.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So that's the thing about the middle class. So that was the first point we noticed, and that meant opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. Because if there's no more aggressive brand loyalty, it means that any other brand coming in, you can compete. You don't have to fear the big boys,
Yes.
right? So to speak. You know, you can come in and you can compete. And Prashant is saying, when I went back to Malaysia recently, I was looking at a supermarket. You know, my wife grew up here in Winnipeg, right?
Oh,
and
wow.
one of the things that I told her was, you know, you look at that supermarket here in Kuala Lumpur. exactly the same as a supermarket in Winnipeg. And one thing that I noticed, Priya, these recent times after COVID, people again were looking price, being conscious. The same global brand, they had a smaller packaging in Malaysia.
Oh,
Right, so that way, here we have jumbo packs in North
exactly.
America,
Yeah,
right? The jumbo
right.
pack, but you make it small. People look at it; the price is not affordable, and they buy the smaller packet there.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
noticing the smaller packets are appearing here too.
And that's how the actually mindset born.
Yes,
I
Right.
can say,
right.
right?
So it's the businesses responding to consumers. We don't want to put out a big amount of cash every month, right, for the jumbo box. Then I'll buy that smaller box.
Oh,
Right, and when you buy a smaller box, suddenly you have opportunity also to look at alternatives. So that means
yes.
you're going to go for variety,
Yeah.
right? So all this for us means productivity and opportunity for the smaller players, the newer players coming in, right? And we
Right.
saw that happen even after COVID, right?
Yes.
And so now again, the current economic conditions worldwide, opportunities are going to appear,
Absolutely.
right?
It's all the game of opportunity.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. You just need that mindset
Mm-hmm.
and the vision to see that
That's
at the proper time, at the right time.
Yes.
So, this is the global productivity mindset. So, you know what? For some people, this concept is actually new,
Yes.
right? And as a author of the book, so could you please explain in a practical term or in a practical language how actually it is work?
So this basically was our first book, Global Productivity
Oh,
Mindset,
great.
Opportunities and Profits Post 2008.
Ah,
So that was the first one, which came after the 2008 crisis. This was published in 2012. Yeah, and I think Siddha can actually tell you about
Yeah.
the
yeah.
mindset part of it, and then I'll take over.
Yeah, so the mindset there, people, when we say global productivity, we talk about multinational, you think, oh, it's huge. I don't have
Yeah.
experience. A lot of
Yeah.
startups, especially entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
I've never worked in a big corporate, so how do I understand how they do it?
Yeah.
And we started with something very simple. We give you a very simple story in the beginning about grandma's recipe.
Oh,
Right,
wow.
all of us have this thing of a grandma. Many of us, our grandmas are the ones who would cook up a big meal for the whole clan.
I know.
Right, and she
Yeah.
could cook for 2 people or for 50 people. It didn't matter, and she knew how much ingredients to buy. Right, and her
Absolutely.
kitchen was very organized. Right,
Yeah.
you got that spice rack, or some have it in a spice tin,
Yes.
and easy reach. Right,
Yes.
so when you look at all that, you realize it's actually what Prashant has done a program, and he's in an area.
The lean
expert.
manufacturing, as we call it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
almost the same thing, which we actually learn from the common practices which have been in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you talk about lean, grandma was already practicing it. She didn't go for some technical course like the way Prashant did.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
And I come from corporate governance standpoint.
Yes.
So part of governance for us is governance means you look after everyone in your business,
Yeah.
not just the shareholders, maximum profit. You want your customers to be happy, so you keep your staff happy, and that's what governance is about. And grandma practiced it. She was very nice to everybody. You walk into her kitchen, it's a positive experience. So she had this thing about lean, easy to organized, well-organized kitchen. She had this idea of passion. She was passionate about it.
Yes.
That secret ingredient we all say that home cooking has,
Yes.
it's passion.
Passion.
Right? You put
And you know
passion.
what? There is a internal happiness as well
Yeah.
that I'm actually feeding my
The
whole
satisfaction
family.
you get. The satisfaction you get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we actually wrote it down in the book, right? And at the introduction part, we say, that it appears that grandma utilized the essence of lean principles, ethical conduct, and a secret recipe called productivity delivering quality.
Wow.
Some would call this secret ingredient love, others would call it passion, or even attitude.
Yes, right.
This is where the book gives you a deeper analysis
Yes.
into the word love and attitude when it comes to productivity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we prefer to call it the right mindset driven by passion.
Wow.
Okay, so Prashant, maybe I'll look at the further ingredients.
Yeah.
Because we broke it down to 10 ingredients.
That's what we found. Basically, we found essentially when we were analyzing 10 concepts as the common terminology will go,
Yeah.
and we called it the ingredients because without those ingredients
Yeah.
put into the very proper proportions, you won't have a good recipe.
Absolutely.
The same thing goes with the business. Yeah, at the end of
Yes,
the day, I mean,
absolutely.
to be a success. So what we looked at was, and I'm going to read it out from
Oh,
the book,
yeah,
just
absolutely.
so just to show you. What we say is skills resource mindset is one. That is, use the existing resources to seize new opportunities. Yeah? Global picture mindset, which means that remove compartments to focus on vision, mission, and goals. Right? So first thing is look inwards.
Right.
What do I have? What strengths do I have?
Right.
Why don't we utilize that?
Absolutely.
Especially in the terms of crisis. Global picture, don't look at only a small thing. Look at a 360-degree view.
Yeah.
Constant change mindset. The old adage, everything is changing except for everything is changing.
Yeah.
Right? But then you have to have a constant change, a positive change. Global economy mindset. We have to be aware of what is happening in the total economy.
Right.
It's not just your local. So what we say is that, you have a small mom and pop store. And you think, no, I don't want to go and compete with the big boys.
Yeah.
But tomorrow what's going to happen is one of the big boys is going to put a branch next to you.
Right.
Right? So you should have to have that mindset, a global economy mindset. What happens is somebody else comes to you and tries to ethical quality. Give a lot of importance to the ethical quality, as I mentioned about the middle class looking at it. Process efficiency. We have everything which is, which goes with the cooking as well as with the business. The process is very important. Productivity, motivation. How do we motivate your people for being productive?
That is the most difficult part, I can say.
Yeah, so people,
Motivation.
people,
Yes.
business passion mindset.
Yeah.
Right? Continual improvement mindset. So you have to have the passion of that business. You have to put that passion into it. At the same time, you have to be ready for a continuous improvement.
Right.
And of course, the middle class mindset. The global middle class, basically, if you see that overall, in the last probably 30, 40 years, the percentage of middle class has increased a lot.
Yeah.
The buying power of middle class has increased a lot. So that actually opens up a lot of opportunities. So, and that is where we say, okay, that these are the ingredients, which are basically going to put in the right proportion, depending on your business situation, is a recipe for success.
Wow.
Yeah.
What actually a recipe. So, again, like this book contains lots of example, a various example, like how to sustain during the crisis, like anyone is looking for growth and opportunity. But there always should be a one part of the book which team lead or the manager like the most, or they follow that line or that part. So, according to you guys, which part is the most liked part?
I think just building on the vision and mission,
Yeah.
right? And it's a very important thing. A lot of people, when they think of productivity, they think about the business leaders and the employees. But the most important person in any business is the consumer,
Yeah.
right? So even in a downturn, if you have consumers who can afford what you have, right, your business will sustain.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things, even in the crisis, even if we hear on the news, a lot of people low income having problems buying stuff, we still have a big middle class, right, able to afford what's in the supermarket.
Yeah.
Right. Even today, you walk into any supermarket, there are still people going in and buying groceries. They're wheeling out a full basket of groceries.
Yeah.
Right. We all do that. So the businesses have been able to pick up on that.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, this is the amazing thing. A lot of people don't notice. Right. You go to the supermarket, you buy your stuff. Right. And especially for those who can afford it, they also put a little packet there on the side. You could pick that up and donate it to the food bank.
Yes.
So what signals are you picking up from that? The signal we get with the productivity mindset, the businesses, the supermarkets realize there are a lot of consumers who can still pay that price. We are not too happy, right? We all like it less. And above that, we can also buy a little bit to help another family who may be in distress. Right? So they see that there's enough middle class there that can help other people in the community. Right? So the pricing strategy is based on that. Right? So you go to a food bank, you see stuff there, it's been purchased from a private business and then it's given out to people. So these are the things that businesses pick up on, right? And they're able to pick up when they have that kind of productivity mindset. So the thing about this is we have a global middle class worldwide. That's
Right.
what we realized. That's why the global brands are all over the world. Even today, right, for businesses in Canada, you actually have the world as your market. The world is your oyster. It's not just one big customer, for Canada. It's all these countries across the world. And Canada has a lot of free trade agreements, right? And we have got a lot of relationships, traditional, through Commonwealth, through Francophone countries, right? So there's opportunities all over the world. And the interesting thing that the multinationals have taught us is business culture is the same all over the world. Personal culture may be a bit different, but when it comes to productivity, everybody understands it. It's a universal language.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And the middle class, we all aspire for the same thing. It doesn't matter whether it's middle class in North America, middle class in India, middle class in Africa, right? Everywhere in the world, in Europe, in South America, everywhere the middle class is aspiring for the same thing. We all have that common shared value. We want a beautiful home.
Yes.
Right? We want a family to grow up comfortable, education, healthcare, you have insurance to cover whatever is necessary, and a retirement fund, right?
Yes,
that is a middle class value, and that's what we put in here. But a lot of businesses forget about that. That the global middle class is what drives that mindset for successful businesses.
Absolutely.
So whether downturn, we know 2008 was a downturn, right? They were able to see the middle class is still there. Pandemic came, there was a lockdown, 2 years, right? But the supermarkets remained open, the big box stores, because they were productivity driven, they were efficient, and they could still deliver in spite of all the challenges in the supply chain. Right? Still things got to the stores, and we were able to buy. Post pandemic, a lot of people re-innovated themselves, restructured themselves, and even now what's happening is actually new opportunities are emerging, right? So it's shaken us so much, the pandemic and the current issues on global economy, right? That now businesses are looking left, right, center, across the oceans, across the Atlantic, across the Pacific, and at home, at home, right? Canada, we say coast to coast to coast. The market is huge.
Yes.
Right? So these are the things that we show you in the book. That with that mindset, you will suddenly spot all that opportunities.
Wow.
Right?
Very well.
And then that is where it comes down to as to how do the supermarkets and all that do that?
Yeah.
How do some of the businesses do that?
Exactly.
Right? And that is where another ingredient comes in. Yeah.
Yes.
And as I mentioned basically before, right? Usually what happens in any crisis is people start looking outwards. Yeah. And what we say is that look inwards. Look at your own strengths first. Yeah. Right. So we have one thing which skills resource.
Yes.
Right. Why can we utilize our own people more efficiently? Can we utilize our own machines more efficiently? Can we utilize our own strengths more efficiently? I'll give you one very good story and example about it. This happened at the time of pandemic. Yeah. You know how the restaurants basically have?
Oh, yeah.
They have a menu which is for dining. they have a menu for takeaway.
Takeaway.
Yeah, which is essentially almost similar, but slight differences.
Yes.
What at that time, what was happening was dine-in was totally closed, right?
Yeah.
Takeaway was open, but in a limited facilities. You cannot go inside. Only the drive-throughs would be there.
Yeah.
But one of the problems was for the truckers, the long-distance truckers.
Yeah.
They were dependent on small places,
Yeah.
dine-ins, eating
Yeah.
places,
Yeah.
and they were actually at a major loss. So one of the restaurants actually, and it happens in Winnipeg as a matter of fact, they had their strength. What's their strength? To make good food and to give and to serve,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they started actually serving single portions.
Oh.
So what the truckers could now do is take the single portions for the family for the entire trip, 6-7 days.
Okay.
They have a small oven fitted normally in their cabins. Yeah. So even if they do not get any place to get inside, they can park it wherever they have to park. Yeah.
Right.
They heat up the small containers. Yeah.
They can eat
right. A single portion only. Yeah. And that actually was, I would say, a reinventing of
Right.
So those are the things which we observed. Yeah.
Yes.
And that is what we actually saw that, yes, I mean, that is what utilizing your own skill.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't have to look for something totally different.
Yeah. Yeah.
What they did was, yes, this is my strength. Cooking food, serving food. What best can I give it to the community? They looked at it as an opportunity.
Yes. Absolutely. Wow, very well explained. I can definitely say that this book is having a tremendous example, and as I can say, like mindset, a productivity mindset. So, in the new edition, I have a very good question for you guys. So, in the new edition of the book, which contents are applicable in today's economic scenario?
I think the major rewrite between the old book and the new book is that one big thing, and Prashant mentioned it just now, that is so important that today you can, after this podcast, put into practice. Right?
Oh, wow.
It's so important that you decided to put it on the cover of the book. Okay?
Yeah,
And
I
we
can
said here,
see.
unleash the energy of your workforce through the right mindset.
Yes.
Right? And then to emphasize it, we put it in bold red, inspire talent, achieve exceptional performance. Right? So the first thing you can do today is actually look at yourself. What are my skills?
Right.
Right? What is the core that people pay us money for?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then ask about, if you have a team, ask about your team, what do each one of them have? Right? And sit down with them and have a conversation, because very often we all work with somebody. We have a cameraman at the back of this podcast,
Yes.
right? And I would love to talk to him more about the equipment he's using,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Why? Because, when the lockdown came, I was teaching at a university 2 weeks before final exams, and boom, we canceled all classes. But very quickly, the IT guys said, hey, we have, so this is what the university IT guys came up with, right? They said, very quickly, we can put up Zoom for you guys,
Yes.
right? And so we pivoted to online.
Yes, right.
And the amazing thing
Everything went online that
And
time.
this was a major opportunity for us also.
for us.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with me actually. I had a 6-course lecture basically. Yeah. After the third course session, pandemic thing.
Yeah.
And so we were given probably about 4 or 5 days just to convert everything on online.
Online. Yeah.
Fine. I mean, it was the university which did all the background work. We had to do some things about converting it. But what we found eventually was that, yes, it is a challenge. Yeah?
Yeah.
But it was also another opportunity for the students
Yeah.
who could not come on time at that time. So many people were stranded in their own countries, but they could still take the lectures. Okay, the timings might be a little off for them, because of the global timing zones.
Yep. Yep.
But they did not lose any teaching time. Because of the Zoom technology or other basically virtual technologies and all that. they could see that they could still attend our lectures. Right?
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
so even if they are stuck in their own places, they may have to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yes, agree.
Yes,
But it's better than losing the whole course, right?
absolutely.
Right. So
Yeah.
we saw that it's not only just surviving,
Yeah.
but actually it threw up different new opportunities.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually.
So it's more of looking at the opportunities gained. Yeah. Survival is one. Right. But at the same time, the same thing has happened with our restaurant guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, he could have survived with only takeaway.
Yeah.
But now it opened up two different streams for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened was that small containers, as soon as he started giving that, it opened up a third channel for him or her. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And it so happened that today it's a hit with students. So what came out of the necessity is actually a major opportunity today.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Oh my God.
So today's scenario is a totally different one.
Yeah.
Right. So we have seen three different scenarios, challenge scenarios. The first one was the financial crisis. The second one was due to pandemic, where the contacts also, the physical part also came into picture. Yeah. And the third one was, of course, is the one current scenario, which is in a turmoil. Yeah. And we see that transition is always the more turmoil period. Yeah. So it's also going to throw a lot of opportunities in front of you. Yeah. And that's what we want to take. I mean, as he mentioned, basically, podcast. Yeah. It's an opportunity which has come to us. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Getting the book out in the right time is also an opportunity for us. Yeah. Because the message has to be given.
Yes. Right.
In the right way.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you ask, so what's the opportunity now, right?
Yes.
We look at the pandemic. Today, what's the opportunity? Because people are so used to technology, they're listening to podcasts a lot, right?
Yep.
I have it on, while I'm doing my work, right? It's opened up opportunity. Today, you can have a global audience.
Yes.
Which means you got the middle class worldwide.
Yep.
That can log in and reach out to you.
Yes.
So for us now, we have pivoted so that we can be in the classroom with you, we can be in the boardroom with you, or we can be online with your team, right? And you can be anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Right. So that is now the new thing, right? Business is about relationships.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So nothing like seeing someone, hearing them, talking to them, and because we all have become more comfortable with situations like this, a podcast, right? I don't have to fly to another country to meet a prospective client.
Exactly.
I can do it like 90% online.
Exactly. You
Right?
can just set up the Zoom
Yes.
call or the Teams call.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
recently.
Maybe the final bit, 10%, is when we fly in
Oh, yes.
and have that opportunity, that mix if the client wants.
That's right. We recently actually had a visit from one of the colleges in India, and I had a few meetings with them. And for the past couple of years, I have been going there and giving them as a visiting faculty. And that's the thing which we explored this time. Yeah, what courses can we give online? Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, right. Specifically tuned for their students.
Yes.
Right, which would not have been, basically possible very much a few years back, if the necessity had not driven us towards the opportunity.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
So, Prashant, did you also coach the students in a different countries as well?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
May I
yeah,
ask
yeah.
which one?
Okay. I mean, as I said, I have been into. I've been coming from India. Yeah.
Yes.
I've been into East Africa.
Okay.
I've been into Middle East Asia.
Wow.
I've been into Europe, and this is North America is the fourth continent.
Okay.
One of the actually, when I was in East Africa, and that is where actually my mentoring thing started. As a matter of fact, my position actually, I was deployed by the United Nations It was a UNDP, United Nations Development Program, wherein the job was basically to empower the local talent to do whatever jobs we were doing, as an operations person. And I was supposed to train the people so that their dependency on expatriates is reduced. So that is where actually, I have been doing mentorship from there itself. Right. And then later on, they called me also for giving some lectures eventually for lean and other things. Process improvement, that is another thing which so being there into that, and of course in Canada, have been doing that.
Yes, definitely. Wow.
Yeah. So it's a very satisfying experience, I would say.
I can see on your face.
Yeah.
In fact, both of your face, I can see the satisfaction, because as I can see, like from in the beginning of this podcast, like you guys are having a tremendous experience, a 30 plus of year experience. And it's not about only the experience and knowledge, but I can see the happiness and the satisfaction on both of your face. Yeah. So as we can say that this book is having a lots of example, but how company can take the advantage of all these things?
The best way to learn is always to ask questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
ask yourself the questions, basically. The companies have to ask themselves the questions. Yeah. And actually we do maybe. And so what we look at is, have you changed the mindset across your
Yeah. Right.
Have you read, basically, have you looked into the ingredients? Have you tried to look at it?
Yeah.
Take an internal discussion.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Yes, right.
Yeah. What is very important into improvement is realization that you need improvement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Discuss it internally.
Yeah. Right.
Have you changed? Has the change made any impact? Has it made you competitive?
Yeah.
Right? Right? Has it made it competitive? And has it consolidated? Has this exercise consolidated your position into new or existing or new markets?
Wow.
Right? So that is where we need to have an internal discussion there.
Yes.
Yeah. Once the internal discussion is there, normally what happens is the companies then would know where do we stand.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where are our strengths? Where is the gap?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And that is where then once they see the gap, and that is where we come in as consultants.
Yes. Right.
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 A, finding out, yes, guiding them into the right direction, asking the right questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And wherever there is a need, intervene and help them.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to add to what Prashant said,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So we want this book to be interactive, right? So what we've done with this book is that at the end, you had the mindset exercise, which Prashant just read out, right? And before that, we also had this thing of identifying training and consulting needs, right? So there are 3 points here. And this is the important thing, and I want to stress this a lot. Okay, because many of us have over the years gone for training, gone for webinars, seminars, and stuff like that.
Right.
And then we've learned stuff. But too often, we come back to our business and get back to the same old ways.
Right.
Right? So companies need to know how to tap the knowledge that they're learning from outside and get it internalized. So the 3 points we have put down in the book. You look at page 97, it says here, identifying training and consulting needs. Okay, so these are 3 things you do when you're trying to identify whether you need training or consulting. The first is claiming ownership of the process, right? So that's one thing that consulting and training can do, because all of us have got skills. But unless someone points out, hey Priya, this is your wonderful skill you've got. You're cool as a cucumber, I see, right? Dressed in green, in green, cool, very collected, right? So that's a powerful thing. And if we do consulting, what can we do with this?
Yes.
What more can we do with this?
Yes.
Right? Beyond this podcast.
Yes.
I'm just looking in front of me. That's because my training thing tells me. I look at Priya, she's doing a podcast. What more can we do together?
Yes.
Right?
Right.
So that's what claiming ownership is about.
Yes.
Right? Because you have unique skills. I have a different set of skills, and hey, could we put it together, right? And the other thing that you need to look at when you're deciding whether you need consulting or training is to look at adopting an ethical attitude. So ethics, people say big word, right? They say big word, but ethics really is what? It's about our values. You know, we feel comfortable with each other because we shared values.
Yes, right.
Right? So with your team, you want to work on that. And that's where consultants come in, and sometimes we listen. And you heard the word corporate culture. Right? So every business, right, has a culture. What's the culture? The culture is that dynamics of all the ingredients that you have coming together, because we keep talking about ingredients, but all good ingredients are no good if you don't have the recipe to cook it into something delicious, right? So when we start interacting among the group, you suddenly find, oh, this is what our values are. You know, this is what our brand value is. Right? You can have two different computers, two different brands, but those two brands come from companies with different cultures. Right? That's because those guys are internalized and say, this is our way of doing computing. The other company comes out and this is our other way. Right? And then they distinguish themselves.
Yes,
right? We've got two luxury cars out there, and you find one is expensive as the other one. Both have fantastic technology, but when you look at the thing of what's the attitude they have in it, right? I won't mention the brand names because they haven't paid me, right?
Yes.
But I'm looking at, I think, two popular brands of luxury cars. One has this thing of the ultimate comfort. You know, when you drive, you want the ultimate comfort. The other one has this thing where the ultimate driving machine. Right? So, and I've seen it. A couple, one has got the ultimate comfort car. The other one's driving the ultimate driving machine.
Yes, right.
And, you know, and you might think men are the always the guys who like machines and thing. And I looked at this family, and then they said the wife drives the ultimate driving machine. She enjoys the drive. The husband actually prefers comfort. So he bought this other car. Right? So when you talk about niche market, they are in the same niche market. But when you talk about the attitude they're going for, totally different.
Absolutely.
Right? And you see husband and wife, each buying a different make of car.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right?
It happened.
Right. So this is the thing. When we come in as consultants, these are the little things that we point out to you. Right? And it's, oh, okay, this is how we should pivot our point. This is the real customer that we are looking for.
Yes.
Right? You know, and then the other important thing we put here is when you're calling a consultant, what is it that can stimulate passion, motivation, and another very important thing, especially now, right? Downturn, innovation.
Oh.
Right? And very often innovation is doing something extra with what you already have. Already have in talent, already have in resources. Right? So this is the practical thing, and we put it at the end of the book there because we want you not to just finish the book and put it down, but to ask the question. And I say, oh, should we?
Ask the question.
Yes, to do training and consulting.
Yes.
Right? So that's what this book is. That's why it's actually more of a manual. We could have turned it into a manual. Right? We want to just get it started. And I've had this thing. Managers have bought this, they've read it, and then they pass it on to the next guy.
That's right. And that is where actually I pick up from his point about the value. And one other thing that we want to give basically is the value addition.
Yes, right.
All right.
Value addition.
A, understanding their own value. And B, what other additional value can we give there?
Yes.
So from the book, basically, that is what we will say. What is the global productivity mindset? It can give you a competitive edge in the local markets. And it's all documented here. Use the available talent to be productive and also into productivity sustaining. Because we give a lot of importance to sustainability.
Yes.
Because it's not one time. We want businesses not just to flourish for 1 year and then
Yes.
go down. So the systems will be set in such a way that they would be sustaining there,
Yeah.
and deploy the right talent at the right places. Tap into your internal opportunities.
Yeah.
Right? And those are the messages which are actually adding value to the thinking, the management thought process. Yeah. That yes, I mean, the consultants are here not just to criticize. They are giving something valuable to them.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
So that is where we come with the book. Yeah.
Yes. So, you guys actually explain each part of this book very nicely, very practically. The ingredients, what actually use in the book, from writing to actually giving example to everyone. So, as you are aware, we have a very restricted time in our hand. So, I would love to hear from you guys about this book. But right now, we need to wrap up this podcast. And before wrap up this podcast, so what one advice you want to give to your viewers about this book?
Yeah. Um, okay. To limit to one would be very difficult. So sorry about that. Yeah. But anyway, I
Absolutely.
mean, to put it in a nutshell, basically,
Yeah.
as you rightly mentioned, there are ingredients, as we said. Yeah.
Yes.
What we say is that embrace the 10 ingredients which we have talked about. Yeah. And what is that going to give us?
Yeah.
That's going to give the companies a competitive edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That is put into the right proportions. The ingredients gives you the right recipe. Yeah. Gives you the best possible flavorful dish.
Yeah.
Same thing, the ingredients which we talked about, put into the right proportion. Yeah. At the right time, according to the recipes, will definitely give you an edge into the current scenario. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. What happens next? Again, yeah. So it makes you resilient.
Right.
Right. That is one thing which we keep on talking about. Yeah. How to build the resilience is something which is built into the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Use the available talent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Before looking outwards, look inside. What are my strengths?
Yeah.
What are the resources that I have that I
Yes.
can use in a different way?
Yeah.
Yeah. And deploy the right talent at the right time, at the right place. Yeah.
Right.
Right. And this is what we have also mentioned here. Yeah? And use the global productivity mindset principles in this book for discussion, training, and consulting from boardroom to the shop floor.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll come back to the whole statement of
Yes.
that. Do not leave the vision and mission statements
Yeah.
on the boardroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instill them there. Yeah. Create a mindset of inspiration. Create a mindset of curiosity
Yes. Right.
within the talent, within your resources. Yeah. And that they are the ones which are going to help you. Someone has very famously said, that the old adage which says customer is the most important
Oh,
person,
yes. Customer satisfaction is the most
and the
important thing
customer is the most person. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
The new mantra is that your employees
Yeah.
are the most important.
Absolutely.
You treat them well,
100%.
you
Yeah.
keep them well. They will in turn see to it that the customer is taken care of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I 100% agree
Right.
with you.
Yeah. So that is where we come into the
Yes.
satisfaction
Yeah.
of the book, and of the organization.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so we actually put it at the back of the book, right? What you can get out of having a global productive mindset. So we actually said this, that a global productive mindset can help you to, one, gain a competitive edge in your local market, okay? Number two, use available talent to be productive and profitable. Okay, so a lot of people think productivity is all about output. How much can I
Yes.
put out there?
Yes.
But business is also about profit,
Absolutely.
right? So,
Yeah.
so you want to be able to put out something in the market and make it profitable,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And the third point we put here is deploy the right talent to tap into opportunities worldwide, right?
Yeah.
So this is the thing that I find fascinating about most countries in the world today. You have people from all over the world in your local city, right? And you can use that to tap into anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
You know, just to share 2 points. One is, Prashant mentioned about internal, right? And I always tend to look at both internal and then I look external, because this is where the nuance. Because Prashant comes from processes,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Process management. I've spoken to chief financial officers, chief marketing officers, but they're not enough to run a business. You need the process guys,
Wow.
chief production officer.
Wow.
All three must combine.
So, did you guys receive like feedback, comment
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
about this book
Oh,
from?
yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
I'm going to ask
There are
this.
there are some very good ones, and actually, I have one which is the top, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to wrap up, basically your initial thing about that,
Yeah. Yeah.
what we would say is that and taking cue from what Siddha mentioned before we go to the reviews and that, what we advise, I wouldn't say advice actually, what we suggest to the companies is take control of the processes, improve the efficiencies,
Right.
yeah, and use your resources for the betterment of the organization, right? So that is where. So this actually comes from a senior business analyst in one of the top companies in Canada.
Wow.
Yeah.
A big achievement, I can say.
Yes, and I'll give you this.
It's an evaluation form that
Evaluation form, the feedback form which we got from the book.
Okay.
I'll just read one line and then I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What it says is he has given other parts pretty good feedback for that. And what any other author would achieve in 400 plus pages is achieved in less than 100 pages.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, this is a must read for all levels in an organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was, I think, the pinnacle
That's
of
really
the
good.
feedbacks which we
I
sort
want
of
to show
looked at.
this on camera. Yeah. But this is a great achievement for you guys.
I just want to share one story
Yeah.
with you. And this was a big multinational, and I went into the multinational, and I spent a week there, right?
Yeah.
Because what the company wanted to do was improve productivity, so they came up with a code of conduct for the staff. And what I did was I did training for the boardroom, right, middle management, then with the supervisors, and finally I spent time with the shop floor guys who are on the front line in the factory, right? And by the time I came to them, it was towards the end of the week, right? And you're talking about things like ethics and productivity and work culture and positive attitude and all that. And then one of the staff told me, yeah, boss, I saw you, coming in every day for a whole week. I said, yes, that's because I was talking to you from your boardroom all the way down to you guys. I said, you also told them at the boardroom level? I said, yes. Unless there's a buy-in to your vision and mission from the boardroom to the shop floor, you're not going to get the inspiration. And that guy said, wow. Wow, because the senior managers took time out to focus on these issues, not just get an external consultant come in, lecture to our boys on the shop floor and leave.
Yes.
So that was the thing.
Remember the one which we also went to here for a consulting actually in Winnipeg as a process improvement consulting. And that is what we did actually. We stayed with their people for 3 to 4 days.
Wow.
Before even giving the first initial report of the current scenario. And they were impressed, as a matter of fact. Yeah. Both. And there was so much cooperation from the people down there, thinking that, yes, I mean, they're coming and asking us questions.
Wow.
Not just sitting there in the room and making assumptions that, right? So it was definitely something which was worth looking at.
Yeah.
Wow.
You see, the thing that we find very satisfying is that when we go in, we don't just sit in the boardroom. Okay? We will take a walk around your business.
Yes.
We go down to the shop floor, we have a little chat with everyone.
Uh-huh.
No person is too small
Yeah.
or insignificant for us.
Yes.
And I give you this real example. And one of the things that I do when I go in is I go to the washroom, right? And I even if there's someone cleaning, I'll just have a short conversation with the person. The receptionist, I have a conversation with them. If I'm walking towards your training room, I meet your staff, I say hello, hello, and then have a short conversation. So by the time I get there to the managers and the supervisors and all that to do a presentation, I've got a good sense of your company.
Nice.
I also do something a lot of people don't do, right? And Prashant knows this. I check your website. What's it about?
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh my God.
Right?
You can
You know,
tell.
and why I do that is that I want to see whether you're actually practicing what you're preaching.
Yes.
Right? You can make beautiful statements on a website, but if it is not reflected in the attitude of your staff, something is not quite right. Right? So that is what we do here. We give very simple examples here, right? That you can relate to, right? That even someone starting off in business can relate to, or even a senior manager. It's a great refresher for multinationals. It's a great refresher for the medium-sized businesses. And today's world, you might be a micro business, right? But because of technology, we can be a micro multinational.
Wow.
Right? I know a guy in Winnipeg. He sells carpets from Persia, from Afghanistan, right? The whole region, right? Kashmir. He can bring in the carpets for you.
Right.
And then
I
he told
can
me,
say like it's a game of all mindset.
yes,
As we
Absolutely.
right.
already discussed in an earlier session, the vision, if you have a good vision,
Yeah.
so you can see what actually you want in your life and
Yes.
you work for them.
Yes.
So,
So this guy, I must interrupt and tell you
no,
this,
no.
right? He'll bring in the carpets for you, right? Persian carpets, you know how good.
Yeah.
Kashmiri carpets, you know
Yeah.
how good, right? And then he told me, boss, if the colors here don't suit you, you just tell us what kind of color. We can get the people in the village to weave it for you, right? And through courier, within 10 days, we deliver to you in Winnipeg.
Wow.
That
From
guy
Korea.
has a productivity mindset, global
Yes.
mindset, right?
Oh.
He can get it from a village out there to Winnipeg in 10 days,
Yes.
right? He's competing with the big rug and carpet dealers here,
Nice.
right? And he's able to deliver, right? So for us, even a small guy using courier can deliver anywhere in the world with the right mindset.
Exactly. It's as I said that it's all the game of mindset,
Mhm.
and I can say it's a positive mindset.
Yeah.
Yes, but definitely this book can help.
Yes.
Once again, thank you so much for coming to this show, saying yes, and share your powerful ideas, ingredients, success, a positive mindset in this podcast. I make sure that my viewers, including me, will read this book. And for my viewers, if you are looking for a positivity mindset, a global productivity, please go to the amazon.com, any country if you want to visit. And yes, Prashant and Siddha are available for consultants and training as well. And yes, there is no in person because we have a Zoom, we have a Teams call. Those who are in a Winnipeg, yes, they can directly reach out to you guys for more details. But once again, thank you so much and hope you guys enjoyed.
Mhm. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.